Bclear TV.
Bclear TV.
Can you hear us loud and clear?
Can you hear us loud and clear? This is Bclear TV.
My name is Kevin Joyner. I'm Brandon Mcgee's campaign manager. We are out here at this lovely home out here in Farmington, Connecticut. This is another step towards Brandon becoming the next mayor of Hartford. It is going to happen. It is the change that we need. Brandon is the hope of Hartford.
You know, I tell everybody when my kids turned 18, it was like a holiday. We had to go register to vote. Like, that was the main thing when they were 18. It wasn't even an option. So when I look at people kind of think, well, you know.
Brandon Mcgee and Miss Remy, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't think you all actually know who this lady is and the impact she has had, not only on Connecticut, but this entire country. And Lisa, I think you are an individual. Here's an untold story. And you're very humble, sometimes. But we affectionately call her our Olivia Pope. She's the original. Thank you so much for opening your home and allowing for myself and my sister here, Ms. Remy, to just talk politics, talk shop, but most importantly, to share this space with so many supporters in this room. So thank you so much.
I want to say one more thing too. If we don't support each other and help each other, no matter how high we get, we'll come back down. And you know, you have to keep pushing each other up. We have to cheer each other on. We can't just be cheering ourselves up. That's the other thing that I think is just very important. So I'm equally excited to be here with you.
Thank you. To my big brother, I met him. I was a high school student at Prince Vocational High School. I got my classmate here, Daryl Lawson. We call him D-Law. We still call him D-Law. He's a business owner now and doing some great things. But this man I met, and I told him that you will one day become my brother and my friend beyond just being my mentor. So June, thank you so much for investing in me, teaching me as a young boy, and giving me some tips on how to be a great husband and now dad. And I want to thank you publicly in front of everybody here. My team is here. I love you, thank you, but I want to acknowledge Alice and her husband, Ramon Arroyo. These two, I got to tell you, have been absolutely phenomenal when it comes to bringing together communities of color. I'm talking about Latino, Puerto Rican communities, African American, West Indian, and really creating a coalition to take back our city, the great city of Hartford. So I'm so thankful for your support, Minnie. Ramon, thank you so much for the work that you do. And then lastly, y'all turn around and y'all look at that young man right behind you. He's running for mayor in New Britain.
Yes.
His name is Chris, and he has some other nicknames, but I know that's Chris. You believe that Hartford is indeed ready for a change in its leadership to really uplift the voices and the people in the city of Hartford, from economic development, housing, school system, but most importantly, making sure the individuals, the residents of our city, have an opportunity to live and to play like any other person in this state. I am not naive. I know that the city of Hartford, we're faced with many challenges. Would you agree?
Yes.
But I do know that with the help of so many people in this room, from our small business owners to our corporations downtown, we have an opportunity to take our city and move it forward. I'll end on this. I am extremely disappointed. Every single year I run for office as a state representative, I have to hear the cries of mothers who say, look, my son, my daughter is in the judicial system and I don't know how to get them out because there are so many barriers in place. I'm talking about voter registration, bond dollars to get them out, expungement of records. We have some work to do. I hear so often business owners say, look, man, I enjoy being in the community. I want to hire local. But it's so much red tape that I can't even do the business that I so desire because you all are creating so many barriers. Education system, y'all know, parents, when you move to a particular area, you are looking for an education system that will best suit the needs of your child. One of the things that I like to do is to work with a leader, nothing against our current superintendent, so y'all are recording. She's doing a great job, but she definitely needs a person in the mayor's office who would serve on the Board of Education and not just opt out. To work alongside all of our board members, community residents, but guess what? Most importantly, our parents that are looking for options for their children. And I keep saying lastly, but there's so much that I want to say, but I'm here with a great person who I've followed her career for so many years, from when I thought I was like a little thug to, going through school, listening to all of her real life lyrics, and it resonated, to now as a mother of two, advocating and fighting on behalf of so many people.
I want to start with Remy. You and I had an interview not so long ago. We were talking about prison reform and prisoners coming out not having the right to vote. How important is it for you to push that on young people anywhere, to let them know that you got to fight for your right, and how important it is, especially when we have these big elections coming up, and we need people to be more educated on that particular process?
Well, actually, most people don't know that if you are incarcerated or if you are formerly incarcerated, if you're on parole, post-release supervision, probation, any of those circumstances that, kind of still tie you to the judicial system, that you're not allowed to vote. And I found it out firsthand when I was incarcerated and President Obama was running for his first term. And everyone in the prison was so excited and so, it was a moment in history, and we couldn't participate in it because we were, state property. We weren't allowed to vote. Thankfully, he won anyway, but it was so weird, and what opened up my eyes to it and made me even start even looking into why do they care so much about our vote and what we're able to do is when in prison, you're allowed to put in a petition to stay out. Like, they have a set time when you're supposed to lock in and everything settles down. But if it's like right now, where the NBA Finals is going on, you can put in and everyone can stay out for a late night to watch the game. If it's the Super Bowl, you can put in for that. Maybe if there's an award show, you guys want to watch the Oscars or whatever the case may be. This particular time, everyone put in for a late night so we could watch the election. And we were told no. They locked us in ourselves, and we had to find out listening through our radios. And it made me start looking into it, and I realized that not every state, New York has it, but not every state has it where if you're incarcerated, you can't vote. And then I also seen in the smaller print, smaller than that, is that even after you come home, after you've served all your time, you still wouldn't be able to vote. So when I came home after serving almost 7 years, and he was going up for office for his second term, I couldn't vote again. And I put in I did all the papers that they said to do, where you request and you write to the mayor and to the governor and to this one and that one, and to no avail. And thankfully again he got into office. But last year I went to report because even after doing almost 7 years, staying under trouble for over 4 years, I still was on post-release supervision. Still had a curfew coming in at 11 o'clock. Couldn't leave my house before 7 o'clock in the morning. Can't travel without permission. Just so much things that you can't do. I put in a request just to be able to vote, not even just for presidential elections, because I started reading into it more. Now I want to vote for my local representatives. I want to vote for my councilman. I want to vote for Senate and all these other different things that I was finding out of how you get the people that you want to get to that level of presidency. So I went into parole, and my parole officer, she goes, "Here, sign this paper right here." I'm like, "Whoa, what's that? What's going on here?" "Oh no, the governor, he granted all parolees permission to vote." Wonderful thing. I've been trying to get this since I first came home. But then I thought about it. Oh, he's running for office again. So with all of these people that are on parole and post-release supervision and probation, I guess he thought, hey, if I give you guys permission to vote, maybe y'all vote for me. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote at all. I had him so angry that I was like, he's definitely not getting my vote. Like, you're trying to use it, you're trying to manipulate it. But it made me realize how important the minority vote was. It made me realize how important the vote of people who were incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, still on some type of supervision. And I just wanted to be involved in it. I just really wanted to be involved in it. And I wanted to let people know, what I experienced and what I know, because I'm the type of person, I grew up where I was the kid, like, go to school, graduate. Well, you didn't graduate, so you can't talk. Like, that was me. So I know how some people only listen if they feel you know what you're talking about, or they feel you actually went through it. You're not just telling me because you think it's good for me. You're telling me because you've actually been through it. And I've been through so much in just being in the system. I'm still in the system today. I came home August 1st of 2014. We are in June of 2019. And I have an 8 o'clock curfew. I can't leave my house before 8 a.m. I had to get permission just to come here and be here and do this. And there are times where they deny it. I remember I had something in Jersey one time where they wanted me to come out, and it was about prison, and there was a whole bunch of politicians. He was like, nah, we're not granting that. Just because they want to say no. Like, there's no reason. They have this. They incorporated everything together. It's the Department of Corrections and community supervisions together. So now instead of DOC, it's DOCCX. So in New York, it's together. So even when they're doing injustices to you, it's not even like I could be like, oh, I'm going to go get a lawyer, because then they're doing something. Nope, you're still state property. You pretty much don't have a right to certain things. So whenever they feel like, they want to mess with me, they can. If somebody goes right now and say, yeah, Remy stepped on my shoe. They say, oh, someone said you stepped on this shoe. Come in. Come, let us talk to you. And it's like, it's supposed to be Department of Corrections. It's supposed to be a correctional facility, but they're not really correcting anything. And they're not really, trying to help anybody do anything positive. I mean, there might be some people, I don't think everybody's all bad, but for the most part, from my experience, it just seems like they sit around and figure out ways to put you back in jail. And you can pretty much go to prison for things that's not even a crime. Staying out past your curfew, accidentally, which happened to me. I called the other day. I drove past my exit because there was construction going on, but my exit, I live in the last exit before you leave the county. The next one, I would have been in the next county. So I had to go. I couldn't stop. Well, I stopped I'm on the side of the road. Traffic is going crazy. I'm like, no way am I crossing this line, because I know they're watching me, and it's just like you walk around living on eggshells. And I don't think, I'm not going to say a lot of you say that I think that the judicial system or the prison system could be fixed, because I don't. But I do think it could be made better so that people have a chance. Like, I don't know anybody. I grew up, I come from the bottom. A lot of people that I love, they still work 9 to 5s. They're not rich or they're not well off or anything. They still struggle. They live in check to check. And I know a lot of people that have been affected by the system. And if anything I can do to enlighten them or help them or ease their pain so that they don't have to go through half of what me and my family went through, I'm going to do it.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, a lot of conversations I've been having with a lot of young people recently in high school is the point of going to jury duty and voter registration seems to be one. Like, I don't want to sign up and register to vote because then I'll be called for jury duty. I'll lose time from work and I won't get paid. How important is it? I know people say that is having the right to vote, or even having the right to sit on a jury to make sure the outcome is fair. What do you say to those young people who give up that right or don't know?
Jury duty. I've been on trial. I went to trial. If I could go back now, I would never do that. I don't know anybody who's ever beat trial. Anybody. And I was in a prison for almost 7 years with, at any given time, 900 to 1,000 women. I didn't meet anyone that said they went to trial and they won. You know, and I sat there. I was offered, they offered me 3 years, which means I would have probably came home in about 2. And I was like, I'm not taking 3 years. Are you crazy? I'm not, like, I have a son. My son is 7 years old. I can't go nowhere for 3 years. Like, my mom depends on me. My sisters, my brothers, like, I had so many people that depended on me. And I was like, nope, I'm going to go to trial and they're going to find out the truth. And you get on trial, you realize it's not about finding out the truth. It's not about any of that. It's nothing like what you thought it was on television. It's about getting the conviction. And I had a jury of 12 that was supposed to be of my peers. And none of them looked like anybody in here or me. None of them at all, period. And it was so sad that I wish I really had a jury in my case. I think it would have been more understood. I think people would, because it matters when people understand where you come from and people understand what you go through. They get it. They know, they see the clout chasing. They see, you know, the things that people do to quote unquote celebrities if they think it'll get them a check, or just leaving in certain situations. Just growing up I grew up in the projects in Castle Hill in the Bronx. It's certain things that somebody that grew up on Madison Avenue wouldn't understand. Like they just wouldn't get it. Like, I could probably tell you how to get out of a stuck elevator, like, without having to call the fire department. They wouldn't know how to do it. It's just certain things that you're gonna know because you grew up in a certain environment. And I literally just got a letter recently for jury duty, and you get disqualified for things like, oh, have you ever been convicted of a crime before? Disqualified. You know, people like us, people like me. I need people like you guys and like that come from where I come from to be there, so that you could at least try to balance it out and give me a fair chance, and people like us a fair chance.
I think it's also what you were saying too. It's a civic duty, just like voting, going to do jury duty. Some people don't realize if you do have a job, they're supposed to pay you whatever your wages are. So some people are like, oh, I don't want to do it but I mean, my son actually was on trial and he was going to go away. And I happened to be his only witness. It wasn't even a witness to the crime, but I was credible. I knew the court system. I knew what to do. And he had a jury. We picked the jury. There were 2 blacks, and they came up there. They were like, oh no, we can't do this. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, to me, it was like, oh my God, this is his only chance with these 2 black people, because it was all these cops that came, 5. And he wasn't even involved in the crime, but they came to set him up. And I just thank the Lord that, you know, I was able to go to Massachusetts and testify, because we have to know the laws in every state. And he was given an offer, and in 3 years or nothing. What? And it was a black judge, so even worse in that situation. I'm just saying it happened to be. And he got off, but it was because of my credibility in knowing kind of what to say. But that doesn't always happen. So when people say, oh, I don't want to do jury duty, oh, I don't want to vote, I'm like, first of all, we didn't have the chance to even be on juries before. So if we have a chance, go. Let them send you home and say you're disqualified. Because every state's different. Don't just assume or don't think it's always something bad. You could learn something too. Go in there and understand what the rules are, what a judge is telling you. You can have a better sense of what's going on just by observing. So I would encourage everybody to look at things differently and don't always think everything's bad.
Right. It's nothing like TV.
Yeah.
Those court shows, they like SUV, and never hear of. It's nothing like that.
I'd like to open up if anybody has a question or two for Remy or Brandon.
Did June teach you how to sing or dance, Brandon?
Next.
I have a question for Remy.
Yes.
Being that you are in this situation and you had to do time, how do you feel like going out in the real world where there's so much room for ignorance and for people to set you up or stumble you, especially with the drama that goes on in Love and Hip Hop and TV shows?
Strangely, I somehow managed to make it through all of those seasons unscathed. But you know what? It's scary.
Yeah.
And not even just because of other people. When you're a public figure,
Yeah.
people only see you as a dollar sign. I've watched people literally antagonize people, hoping that they would get hit or something thrown at them or anything close to it, so that they could eventually, cash out.
Right.
And it's sad, but I think I fear more. My fear is less for myself because I feel like I know how to handle things a little bit more.
Right.
I fear more so for my children.
Yep.
I have a son that's 18 years old. I have a daughter. She's my stepdaughter, but that's 22 years old. And they don't have a clue. They think they're so street, and they are so not. The things that they do, I'll be like, what? Like, are you crazy? Like they don't know the things that do. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like my son, especially, like he's very flip with the mouth. Like that was wrong, and I don't care, and I'm just not gonna. He had no reason to stop. If a cop stops you, just listen. Like, those are the things that scare me. I don't want him to, because you could be 150% right and be dead wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Emphasis on the word dead, because this is what they're doing nowadays. And it scares me because he doesn't know. Like, he thinks how I used to think. Well, if I'm right, no, I'm right. That's it. I'm right. I'm not arguing. There's nothing to talk about. I know with the lawyers, I don't have to, but it doesn't work like that.
Right.
There are no really set rules. They make it seem like it is, but there's not. When you go into these, once you even allow yourself to somehow, some way be in their path, there's no rules. Everything goes out the window. They have these large spaces where you can get anywhere from, this charge holds 5 to 25 years. What?
Wow.
Like that's a big span.
Right.
That we can fall anywhere in the middle. So you can have two people that have almost the exact same situation, and one has 20 years and one has 5. And then you got that same situation, and depending on who your family is, who you know, and what's going on, they have nothing. You never even hear about it.
Right.
So, I try to explain to him in terms that he would understand, where, people say, you did X, Y, and Z, you do the crime, you do the time. I said, but that's not really true. They don't really care about that. Because if they want person A and you're person B, if person B tells them everything that person A did and they're willing to say it in front of everybody, person B could have did the exact same thing. You're going to go home though.
Right.
So is that really a crime? Is it really punishable? If I can go in there and tell them everything me and you did together,
Mm-hmm.
just so that they can get you, and I go on live my life, I don't miss my kids, my family, like how does that work?
Right.
I don't understand how that's fair, how it makes sense to me, or how they even set that up so that, like, how do you teach your kids that, this is the law and this is the rule, this is how you do it, or this is how you should move, when there's really nothing set in stone.
Right.
So my fear is mostly for the ones that don't know, and and I say my kids because that's what affects me directly. But I have grown people, peers, friends, coworkers that have not a clue of what's going on and how things are moving out here. And anything that I can take, any knowledge that I learned and that I gathered that I can pass on, and maybe in hopes help change anything, then like that's my mission. Because that time when I sat in there, I was just sitting there and I was angry.
Right.
I didn't understand. I was like, why is like God knows your heart? I'm like, if he knows my heart, why is he doing this? Why am I here? Year 1, year 2, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14. Why am I still here?
Right.
I think now that the reason why is so that I could use my voice and my platform now to either save people that have not been there yet and stop them from being there, or to help people that have been there and they don't know where to go.
Absolutely.
Like, They don't have a clue where to go. I came home and by the grace of God, thank you, I'm so blessed. I have a wonderful husband who was a great support system for me. And, I had a decent job before I went in and, I'm able to make money. But I have friends that came home 5 years ago that still are living in halfway houses, that are still trying to find a stable job because they'll get a good job and you're not supposed to discriminate against someone who has a criminal record. But once they find out, strangely, something you didn't have. You came in late once last year. You got to get out here. They don't say why because they can't. But they end up losing their job. And it's sad. I have people who are been home 5 years and still trying to get their children out of the system. With women, I started a Remy Foundation, which is geared towards formerly incarcerated women because there's so many programs out here, but most of them are geared towards men. Women come home. Bedford Hills is 45 minutes away from New York City. Women been there 8 years, haven't seen the kids, but they're right in Brooklyn because no one has the means to come visit them or bring them up there, or they don't have things like soap. Or I would go to a men's facility and see the baby mama fighting side chick, fighting white because they all trying to get in and they only got enough time to see one person. You go to the women's facility and it would literally be tumbleweeds blowing through there because they're forgotten. They come home, no job. I didn't even have an ID for like months. I was running around with a prison issued ID because I'd been going so long. My license was expired. Mm-hmm. I had to take the test again. Had to take the dreadful 5-hour class again. Mm-hmm. I didn't know where any of my stuff was, birth certificate, social security card, because my home. One day I left my house. I went to court, and I never saw the house again, ever, to this day. Because while I was away, when it was time for me to come home, I lived in New Jersey, but my case was in New York, and Jersey didn't approve my parole conditions. So it was either stay in jail, past my due date, in hopes that Jersey approved me and go to New Jersey, or find somewhere to live in New York so I could come home. And I was like, I'm out of here. I don't care. Pack it up right now. I don't care if we live in a cardboard box in the corner. Like, I'm out of here. And those are the people that I'm scared for, the people that don't know. Right. Because, like Lisa said, has she not known what she known, her son possibly would have got his freedom taken away. Right. Knowledge is everything. It's everything.
I know that for live streaming, if anyone has one question on live stream, please send it in. We're going to take one more question and I'm going to wrap up with Brandon.
How you doing? Welcome. Thanks for coming out. My question is directed to, we know that education is basically the passport to freedom. And we both stand there, and I see in front of us both agents of change. And I ask you, Brandon, I ask you, Remy Ma, being an agent of change or future agent of change, how do you predict and how do you want to bring together police as well as educators? Because as you know, there's a drought as far as underpaid educators within the system. And also, reform. How do you make that or bridge that gap between policemen and communities still? That is still an ongoing situation that continues to need to be bodied. So I'd like to hear from you and also like to hear from Mike.
One of the things that I do believe is that we can't over-police our communities. That's number one. Do we need to work alongside our policemen and women? We do. And we need to help change the narrative of our public safety officers in that many of them are actually protecting our communities. But there are some bad apples that we really have in education. I'm a product of Project Concern. Some of y'all are a little too young. It's now open choice. Y'all know what that's about. Where young people were literally bussed out of their community into a suburban community and vice versa, suburban community coming into the urban area. While I think that is a choice for many families, I'm of the mindset that we should have education opportunities right in your community. Extremely important. Unfortunately, we've been doing some things, and y'all know the saying, you continue to do things over and over again. What do you call that? It's cray-cray, as they would say, the young people. And we have to figure out how to address that. I have some answers, but I'm not an expert. I'm smart enough to have a vision, but also bring alongside people who are experts in that particular field. But what I do know, and I've noticed this, is that you can't just address education without addressing housing, jobs in our communities, mental health. It's all nuanced, and we have to take a holistic approach to supporting our families in Hartford, what we're talking about, because we have some dire situations where there are young people who are falling by the wayside. We have to address, and we have to hold. I heard a statistic the other day that really troubled me to the point where I looked at my two girls and I just started crying. 75% of our young people, we have Board of Education folks here in other towns, but I'm sure you've heard this stat, they're not at grade level reading. 75%. I didn't say 10%. 75%, and check me on it. We've got to do something. And there is no way that we can talk about Hartford on the rise, Hartford has it, and our young people are literally and figuratively dying. So we got work to do. Mm-hmm. And we have to take innovative approach to education, to housing, formerly incarcerated. I have been one of the #1 proponents of reform in our judicial system. From early voting to providing automatic voting rights back to those on parole and probation. I even, as housing chair of Connecticut's legislative committee, proposed that individuals that are formerly incarcerated, interested in living in public housing, could have their records sealed for a certain number of years. So, a housing authority can only look back 10 years, maybe misdemeanor, 3 years, or actually 3 years misdemeanor, 10 years felony. Obviously, there are certain crimes that are prohibited in public housing, but give people an opportunity. Housing is critical. You know what some of my folks on the other aisle said? They're all criminals. They don't deserve nothing. And I literally debated a voter registration bill for 4 hours. We're talking about a piece of paper. I'm going to scream.
That's a lot.
I know, sorry.
Two things that I remembered though. I'm sitting here trying to mark it in my head. Back in the days I used to, green stuff. But
they talked about legalization of that.
It's so crazy because you ask, how do we bring the police in the community and education? I think it starts with just creating a better environment and opportunities. When you have money in your pocket or your bank account, or you can pay your bills, you have a roof over your head, you're not figuring out how you're going to eat or how your kids are going to eat, you have a decent job that you actually like going to, you don't feel like you're being underpaid, just these types of, you're educated. I don't know too many people that have those circumstances in their life and commit crimes. Most of the people that I know that are committing any type of crime, they're either trying to get money in some form or another, whether it, and I don't mean trying to get money like they trying to be like the biggest drug dealer on the block, just having, I mean the necessities. They're trying to get money because they don't have the bare necessities. When I was a teenager, I spent some time where I was homeless. And anytime I did something that was illegal, it was because I needed money. I didn't know where I was going to sleep. I didn't have a key to nothing, to nowhere. I didn't have a key to anywhere. I went to school because I knew I could eat breakfast and lunch in school. So I went to school every day. I'm going to eat breakfast, I'm going to get my little donut and the little pack. I'm going to get my taco or whatever we having. But when it's time for dinner time, like I would take extra cheeseburgers for later. And I think most of the times people commit crimes. I don't know nobody that's just out committing a crime for no reason. For no reason. I'm going to just go over here and I'm going to sell some drugs. I'm going to just go over here and I'm trying to rob this person. Or I'm going to go over here and just, or sometimes people who have these mental health issues and they're just walking around angry. It's because they hurting. And then you have these people who, and I'm not saying everybody's like that, but you have these people who come from other places and other communities and they come into where we're at, and and they're trying to police us, and they don't understand. I don't understand why all of these people are criminals, and why like you're living on top of each other like roaches. You're starving. You're hungry. So before we try to figure out how to bridge the education with the police and this, if everybody right now, you went to any type of neighborhood, let's say we're in Hartford right now, everybody who needed housing had a decent home and didn't have to worry about how they was going to pay their rent, light, gas, cable, anything like that. They didn't worry about how they was feeding their kids. They didn't worry about how the weather's changing. Their kids need shorts. So do I cut their jeans and make them shorts, or do I roll them up because they're going to have to wear them when school starts? None of that. They didn't have to. I'm almost positive. I bet money on it that the crime rate would drop dramatically. I don't have nothing to worry about. I don't have any issues. Now there are some people, like I said, there are a couple of bad apples that would just be out doing dumb stuff because there's something wrong with them, or they just I don't know, because I just strongly feel that the issue starts with your living conditions. I don't know too many people that are living well.
Bclear TV. Bclear TV. Can you hear us loud and clear?